Hi and welcome. Thanks for joining us as we take this opportunity to look at how we can utilise Office 365 on our iPads. So let's get started with today's lesson. So let's take a look at how to get started with Teams. First of all, let's find where the Teams app sits on our device. Now I've put this in a separate folder down here, so I can go ahead and tap on that, and this is the icon we're looking for. But another quick way to find any apps you want on your device is to simply slide down between the apps, type in the app you're looking for, and you'll see it show up in your list of applications. We're going to take a look at all the different functions within Teams, but the very basic thing you need to know is how to get started setting up your own team. Now on your iPad, we simply do that by tapping on the plus icon here with the two little figures, and it gives us the option to create a team. So go ahead and tap on that. We now have the choice of different types of teams depending on what you want to get set up. And we're going to look at this in more detail in another video, the difference between using this with students and using this with staff. But let's just see the process of setting up a class team. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on class. And it gives me the option to enter a class name and also a description if you want to add a little bit more detail about what the class is about, i.e. what subjects you might cover, what age it's for, just so that people know when they're looking for them in their own classes. Go ahead and tap on done. And it's going to ask you to invite your students to your class. Now it's a really simple process. You just start typing in the name and it will give you the list. We can also add additional teachers into this, which is going to be a really useful function if you are co-teaching with anyone, or you want to have leaders be able to have oversight of the classes and teams that you are creating. So go ahead and choose a few people to just drop into that. I'm going to skip that section just for a moment. We now can see over on the side here, we have our class name, we have a general section, and we can also add additional areas here as we want to build our class and how we're going to use it. But let's just have a look at the basic structure of one of your tabs here. Within the channel, we can see that we have the option to have posts. This is where you can create a communication dialogue with your students. We can simply create new posts, adding in pictures, GIFs, attachments, all sorts of things to just keep that conversation going. We can also add in files, so this will attach to the rest of your OneDrive and the other files that you want to add or create in here. We can simply add these by tapping here, add folders, add files, or upload images and videos that your students might want to use throughout the duration of the course. If we tap on more, within this view, we also have the option to look at assignments for your students, the class notebook, grades, and notes. Now we'll go into more detail about these in future videos, but it's good to know that this works specifically for the class setup and isn't actually there in the same situation if you set one up with staff. So that's why those differences are important to understand. So that's within our general channel. If we want to add additional channels, let's say session by session, or we want to have specific areas for different parts of our curriculum, we simply tap on the ellipses, the three dots, and we can tap on manage our channels. And then we can tap on the plus, and we have the option to add in a new channel. So let's say we're going to have a literacy session 1 channel. And again, we can add in this description. And we can also decide whether we want this channel to be private, which means only certain individuals would be invited to it, or we want it open so that the whole class can access it. Now that's an important thing to consider when creating your team, because you might want to have spaces that only certain groups have access to. Alternatively, you might want to leave it open for everybody, but the option is there simply by tapping on the privacy setting and choosing this to be private to just some individuals. So go ahead and tap done, and you'll see that that then adds in a new channel for you on the side. And that's as simple as it is. Once you start to build your channels within your teams, you have the option to create new teams, new classes, lots and lots of different ways to utilize this approach. So let's take a look at some of the other functions within Teams. We know it's great for communication. Here we can see our recent activity, so you can just jump straight back in and have a check at what you might have missed since you've last been in. You have quick access to your chat function if you need to have communication with other team members or your students. This is the team section that we're in, where you'll see all of your different teams. When you create assignments, you can easily access all assignments for all of your teams here, or individually, you just look for them in your individual team that you've created. You have access to your overall calendar, a great place if you're creating and setting up meeting links with colleagues or students, and quick access to calls if you need to just quickly contact one or more of your students or staff members for anything you need to do. You also have this More section where you can add in additional sections. So we have additional sections here where we can look at wikis, we can add in additional files, and even access our camera. So there are lots and lots of things that you can do within Teams to personalize this, and more options can be added here depending on your organization's structure from above. So there we go. There's a quick introduction to getting started with Teams, what the structure is of the page, how you can create a quick class, and the basics of what each of the subcategory tabs along the bottom allow you to do.